Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In today's update, we're going to be talking about potential tropical storm Epsilon and Zeta, as it now appears that we may be dealing with two tropical disturbances next week. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel, as I will upload about 5 videos a week to keep you updated. And also, I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family that may be impacted from these two potential storms. So let's kind of delve into the details. What we're looking at right now is the National Hurricane Center has a 30% chance of a disturbance developing in the Atlantic. And this is just a broad area, a non-tropical low out in the middle of Atlantic that could come to take on tropical storm characteristics and potentially could be a subtropical storm by next week. And there's another feature down here by Honduras. This is the area of concern that we've been talking about. This is the Western Caribbean. This also has a 30% chance of coming to development over the next 5 days. So today's the 16th. We're looking around the 21st of the month if this thing potentially starting to develop in the tropics. So we're kind of walk you through this and how this is going to play out. If we take a look at the overall satellite picture this morning, we can see these two areas of interest that we're talking about. This would be your non-area tropical low here right out in the middle Atlantic. This would starting to kind of fester out in the middle of the Atlantic, and this also an area hotspot down here by Honduras that is our area of interest that could be potential Epsilon by next week. Now, if we take a look at the latest EPS cyclone guidance, this is kind of compacting now. They even have more members of potentially Epsilon forming right around the 21st of the month, it kind of looks like. And this is the area of concern, right around Jamaica, right around the Cayman Islands, right around the Grand Cayman, Cuba, Bahamas, Florida. You would be in the potential path of this storm. And then you can kind of see here potential Zeta. I don't really think it's going to be impacted to the United States, but it'll just be a named storm, probably taking on subtropical characteristics by next week and get named. But if we take a look at the latest GFS ensemble member guidance, they even have more members, kind of saying the same thing the Euro model does, of compacting, something coming out of the Western Caribbean. You can see a lot of lower pressures, 993, 979, 989. This is around the 23rd, so this would be next Friday. Pretty good congruence that we could be talking about a tropical storm at that point of coming out of the Western Caribbean. So this is the area of concern that we'll be looking for next week of tropical storm development. But if you take it on to another frame, you can kind of see most of the members kind of take it into Cuba, going into the Bahamas, and even Florida is not out of the woods. I would say at this point, Texas would be, Louisiana. It's very difficult to get a tropical storm development to impact Texas in October, especially as we get towards the middle and later half of October. But the area of interest would be probably right on the edge of central Florida. That would be probably right on the edge of this, but mainly South Florida, and especially in the Caribbean, Cuba, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. I mean, this would be your area of interest, and then eventually the Bahamas after that. But what's interesting, this is the SOI index. This is the Southern Oscillation Index. Now, of course, we're in a La Nina phase, and this is predominantly, this model would be positive. I mean, you don't, this is the southern jet stream. Typically, you wouldn't have too much of a southern jet stream with a La Nina phase, but with a lowering, this is what's caught my eye, is this has actually turned negative the last 3 days. Now, typically, this particular model would have an impact about 10 to 14 days out. So this is kind of a leading indicator of possibly in combination of the MJO in going into phase 5 with a negative southern oscillation index, we could have a coastal hugger riding up the northeast coast and developing to potentially into a nor'easterin on the backside after all this is over. So this is could get wild here after just on these two indicators that I'll show you here, because the MJO is in phase 4, it's going into phase 5, and it's going back into neutral. This would favor, in combination of an SOI index, a lowering, a deepening lowering, because it has been positive. It just turns negative, and it's about 10 to 14 day out leading indicator that this thing could potentially strengthen and deepening a developing southern oscillation jet stream riding up the East Coast. So things could get pretty active by the end of the month. And let's kind of walk you through and kind of don't get ahead of ourselves, but here's the 21st. Here's the latest GFS model. This is what could potentially be Zeta. This is what could potentially be Epsilon. Now, which one gets named first? I would think Epsilon actually gets named first. By next Friday or Saturday, we probably could be dealing with 2 named storms at that point. This would be a tropical storm, and this would also be a tropical storm in the Atlantic. So depending on when it is able to form, I think once it gains a tropical storm, this will really start to deepening and get stronger quickly. Taking advantage of this very warm water down here. So if you live in the Jamaica area, if you live in the Cayman Islands, if you live in the Grand Cayman, Cuba, the Bahamas, Florida, this is your area of interest that you want to be looking for potential development next week, because we take it on another frame by next Saturday. This would be a bona fide hurricane at that point, going into going into Cuba at that point, and potentially starting to really feel the effects of the lowering SOI index and the MJO phase 5, and it gets too close for comfort in Florida. So, I mean, it's not out of the question that it could scrape Florida, be impacted. There's plenty of model members that take it into South Florida. So Florida is not out of the woods with this particular system, because this would be a strengthening, deepening system as it starts to take advantage of that southern jet. Now, this would be by next Sunday, and this would be a pretty good storm at that point, if not a hurricane, if not a probably major hurricane, potentially start to develop. And if we take it out another frame, it really starts to feel the impact of everything kind of coming together now of the phase 5 MJO, the negative southern oscillation index riding up, and this would be a fairly strong hurricane off the Carolina coast. And of course, this is by the 26th time frame. And if we take it out another frame, by the 27th, this would be a potential nor'easter off the northeast coast. And on the back side, we do have that colder air, and this is why the model actually shows this snow breaking out, is because everything's kind of coming together in a squeeze play between the 26th and the 28th of a potentially nor'easter, and coming on the back side of all this after all this is over. So there's a lot to talk about over the next 10 days with this system that's going to be developing in the Caribbean, as well as potential Zeta in the Atlantic. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video and leave your comments below, and subscribe to my channel to catch the latest updates where I protect you before and after the storm.